The first day she looked at me and she said, "Oh, what is your name?" I said, "Oh, I'm Sudha." She said, "Wow, your name is too hard. It's too hard for me. It's too hard for the patients who are here, too hard for the family to remember. Why don't you call yourself Sue?" And you won't believe, Annie, I said yes.
We are represented. We are represented. We are represented.
Welcome to Represented, the podcast. I'm Aniki Shuru, racial equity coach for online business owners who want to be intentionally inclusive by building a business that is racially equitable. I created this podcast to normalize a conversation around racial inclusion so that fear is no longer the barrier that gets in the way of doing this work. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Whether you're taking your first steps or you're well-versed in the journey towards racial equity, this space is for you. So welcome home, friend. Let's get started.
From coast to coast, around the globe, we are represented.
Where are you from? Really? No, originally, where are you from? Can I touch your hair? Your English sounds so good. Nah, I don't see color. Those statements I've shared are just some of the daily microaggressions that people of color face on a regular basis when they occupy white spaces. Microaggressions are subtle yet negative racial messages that leave the person on the receiving end feeling hurt, humiliated, and even disrespected. You may have used these kinds of statements to start a conversation or even break ice with a person of color, but didn't realize the harm you were causing. That's why I've created a free microaggressions guide with 5 of the commonly made microaggressions in online coaching spaces that you need to know about and what you can do or say instead. Head over to anikishuru.com/micro to download your free guide. That's Anikishuru, GICHURU.com/micro, MICRO. This week on the podcast, I am joined by Sudha Balaji, who is a life coach to women of color. And through this conversation that we've had, and I've just finished recording, so many things she has shared through speaking to her experience as a woman of color, and I was just nodding in agreement. So many powerful things. One of the stories that she shared that has really stuck with me was the fact that when she started her new job, having recently moved from her home country to the new country, New Zealand in this case, somebody could not pronounce the name Sudha, and so asked her, is there a shorter form of the name Sudha? Could I call you Sue? And, Sudha not wanting to rock the boat, just saying, yes, whatever feels good for you. Yeah, that's okay. And just talking about so many of the ways in which we diminish ourselves in order to elevate others who are different from us, others who make us feel less than, and those people who hold an identity or belong to the dominant culture where we feel that we must make ourselves into something that we are not in order to not offend them. And so this conversation this week is so powerful, whether you're a woman of color or simply a space holder, a coach, and you want to better understand, how can I do better to be inclusive? How can I do better to understand the challenges, the setbacks, the struggles that people of color face so that I can do better? This is the episode for you. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Represented Podcast with me, Anigishuru, and Sudha Balaji. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Oh, I'm super excited and little nervous actually to be here, Annie, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This will be my first guest in a podcast, so really, really excited, and I'm glad I said yes, though I felt so much like, oh, I should have said no, not now.
You
So
know,
really
the
happy.
interesting thing is before I press record was you said that this is your first time doing anything on video, speaking publicly in this way. You've never been a guest on you've never been on a podcast before. And so how incredibly amazing is this in terms of a milestone because people need to know you and hear your story. And Sudha, I just want to begin by saying, or rather taking you back to a few months ago when we were all dressed up in a room together and you were awarded Trainee of the Year by the Beautiful You Coaching Academy. And I remember how it felt like a community win for us who identify as women of color. There was a sense of feeling being seen, being valued, being recognized, the cheers that were, coming from all directions. It felt so personal, much more for us as women of color. I'd love to know, how was that moment for you, Sudha? Was it a surprise? How did it feel?
Oh my gosh, as you're saying this, I'm like, take me back to that place and I can see my heart racing again.
Yeah.
Because it was such a beautiful, amazing moment, full of vibrancy in that space. Because I always felt it's such a huge honor, even to be with a community, a space with brilliant human beings and coaches and wonderful energy. And I was nominated one of the finalists for Trainee of the Year. So that was like I was like, oh my gosh, how did I even get here? First, I thought maybe I got there just because, oh, maybe they're promoting women of color. Maybe that's why. We always think that we got there not because we are worth it, but because
Yes.
they are doing like a favor or choosing us because they want to promote us in a nicer way.
Hmm.
Um, but then, in few months between my finalist and the time I went to the award, I did a lot of journaling. I'm a Reiki practitioner, so I do a lot of meditation and stuff. And I thought, no, I was 100, not 100, 200% worth of being a finalist because this is the first time, Annie, I was awarded, first time ever in my life, for being who I am. So that award was given to my authenticity and showing up who I am truly in a space. And for that, I would really thank Julie for even be finding this space for people like me, and also all the incredible trainers, Bika team, and also wonderful trainees that I trained with. Because I remember when I looked at even maybe life coach is something for me, and then I ended up having like a free couple of days. They had like a sessions that they did in Facebook to see whether life coach is for you. So I remember talking to Julie because there was a option where they said, "Oh, if you want to talk to Julie, you can." And I said, "Julie, I'm a woman of color in my midlife. Is this something for me?" And she goes, "Of course, it is for you. It is for everyone." So the first 6 weeks, I think 4 to 6 weeks after joining the training, even before the training started, we had this online space where we can like share who we are, what I am. And I still remember scrolling through at least 20 posts, like, scrolling and seeing, oh, what are people saying? Because I didn't want to say something that, people get offended or something that doesn't seem right fit. So after 6 weeks, I was like, yeah, this is my space. These are my people. This is my like my free space where I can do whatever
And
I want and be me.
And for those who are wondering who Julie is, because not everybody knows about the Beautiful You Coaching Academy, Julie is the founder and the CEO of Beautiful You Coaching Academy. And that is where a lot of my connections and my networks are from a coaching perspective. And so Sudha has come from that community, that family. I'm interested to know, you said that you're, a woman in midlife, you were, interested in life coaching. What led you there? What led you to life coaching now in your life, but specifically wanting to support women of color?
So my background, I've been shifting and transitioning to a lot of different profession in my life. I started as an assistant accountant, then went into teaching. And from there, when after that, I had my baby, then we moved to New Zealand. Beautiful, wonderful place. But I miss my community, my people. So when we came here, it was another transition. I did nursing. So even today, I work as a part-time emergency nurse. And I was thinking there was this missing puzzle all my life, Annie. My life was perfect. If you look at it, everything seemed perfect. I graduated, I had the best job, my husband is wonderful, I have two lovely kids. I moved to another foreign country. There we established ourselves, had wonderful jobs, kids were nice, bought a house, bought a car, everything looks perfect, but something was not there. So there was a few missing pieces in the puzzle, and my life puzzle didn't seem whole. So I was really missing this wholeness. And then because I was nursing, I'm still nursing. I was in nursing profession. I thought maybe I should be a patient educator. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Then I thought, no, that's not me. And I was trying to look at different options within my profession because I think most of us, that's what we do. When we are looking for fewer new opportunities, we always look something where we are familiar. It gives like more, and then also that somewhere where we can get money. It's like, I can get money, I can do what I want, but then nothing seems right. So I didn't apply for any jobs in that areas that I thought I want to. And then in 2020, out of the blue, I was going for a walk with my dog and had a really challenging head injury. And I had like 40 minutes amnesia, still can't remember what happened. But my baby, my Ollie, he's my dog. So my pet, he got me home, and then healing started. So for 8 weeks, I was kind of room bound. I couldn't. I had concussion, really worse concussion. So in that 8 weeks, everything changed. A lot of things started. Things were changing long before that. As soon as I was in my early 30s, there was a lot of shift and swaps in how I looked at the world and slowly starting to change. But it was a very long journey. I'm talking about nearly 15 years of journey till I actually kind of felt what I was doing because I was quite lost in that journey. And through that transition, when this head injury happened, everything made sense. Even today, a lot of people around me say, "Oh my boy, such a hard thing. You had the head injury." For me, I feel that was one of the best things. Even I look at it
Because
now,
it
didn't see it then.
sparked, it has opened up so many other ways in which you're doing life. It's led you to where you are now. I'm curious to know why women of color, why choose to support women of color as a life coach?
Mainly because I think through my transition, personal transition, as well as transition in all areas of my life, and through my journey, I want to support women of color because that was the person, that was the space and the link that I was missing in my life.
Yeah.
And that was somebody that I was craving for. I didn't know what I was looking for because when I journeyed alone most of the time. And I was at a space where people don't discuss these things. People don't discuss hard things. They always are like, um, you do discuss, but at a surface level, I would say, but not go deeper and be like, oh, this is really hard, especially when others look at you as someone that's perfect.
Mhm.
so, so I was craving for this space and this person. And I call this accelerator in my life. So my journey was long, hard, super challenging, going in loops and circles, up and down. and then it reached somewhere. So I think I want to be that bridge where the journey is their journey, their process, my client's process. But I want to be that bridge where it can make it more smoother for them, than what
Mm.
it was for me. And hopefully more faster or accelerated than how it was for me.
You've mentioned that, there are things in your life that you've struggled with, the ups and downs, going around in circles. Are there any sort of examples that you can give us? Because I know the people who are listening to this conversation are women of color. There are also other coaches like us who may not be women of color, and understanding the specific challenges that migrant women of color face, because they're space holders. When they know this, they're in a better position to hold more aligned space for them. And so what are some of the things, if you can share, the struggles that you have faced where you feel like, if I had somebody who was that bridge for me and helped me walk this journey, I think I would have gone through this a lot faster, or just not had to struggle as much as I have.
Struggle in a lot of areas, really. I would call it today growth, because those struggles and challenges definitely made me grow as a person in very different levels: personal, spiritual, community, and all the areas that I can imagine. But it was hard, Annie, coming to a country where you, in those times, hardly few people look like me. And I've done few academic degrees, and one of them is I have a background MA English literature. So I've done masters in English literature. Back in India, I used to teach adult English classes. I used to take those classes. And when I moved to New Zealand, it was new country, new people, and for a few months, I couldn't understand their accent. So I had these two little kids, and I was like, oh, I have to, it's good. I was really happy to be here. Nothing against people, really. But then for living, I have to change gears and decided to go into nursing and did my 3 year nursing degree. And I remember I used to go to the class. For the first 3 months, I hardly understood what the lecturer said. So I used to come back home and read everything and all that. Then I went to one of this work. I went to job. And then in that place, there was this woman who taught me. Probably she was the person who laid the seed that I want to be here today as a life coach for women of life. Because the first day she looked at me and she said, oh, what is your name? I said, oh, I'm Sudha. She said, wow, your name is too hard. It's too hard for me. It's too hard for the patients who are here, too hard for the family to remember. Why don't you call yourself Sue? And you won't believe, Annie. I said, yes. I said, okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. Because I was there to earn money, to put food in my plate and survive. And it still brings tears to my eyes when I talk about it, when I go back there. But, but that's okay. It's not okay, actually, but that was really why I am here today.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I can be Sue. So they said, they were giving me a name back. They said, what's your name? I said, oh, eh, Sue. And they said, oh, is it SUE or SU? I said, oh, doesn't matter. Whatever you feel, it is easy. So I ordered the name badge. Then I had this other person the next day. So they were, so that woman, she said, she came and talked to me, and she said, she was a white woman as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really thankful to her, because she said, oh, what's your name? I said, oh, actually, my name, I was so hesitant to even tell my name, because I thought if I change my name, that's when I'm going to get work. And I said, oh, you can call me Sue. And she said, oh, that's a very strange Indian name. Uh, is your name Sue? And I said, no, it's Sudha. And she said, what does Sudha mean? I said, it means holy water in my language. So it's called Amrudam. So that's heavenly, divine water, or, So she said, why do you want to change your name now? I said, oh, because such and such a person told me it was too hard. She said, no, never ever change your name.
Wow.
And never give away your identity, because this is who you are and you are here in our country. That means we have to accept and uh, honor you for who you are, and it's our responsibility to change your, to say, we have to learn how to say your name, so don't do it. So I've never done it, and from that time I was like, yeah, that's so true. That's my identity and that's who I am. And so
I'm
I've seen
curious.
both.
I'm curious to know, and this is a little bit of a cheeky question. What happened when the name badge came with Sue?
No, it never came.
Oh, it never came.
Because what happened is I ordered for the batch, and this lovely lady went and canceled that and said, let it. Yeah.
That is, that is such a powerful story that I know so many migrants of color can resonate with. We do not want to rock the boat. We've gotten this job. You don't want to lose the job. You don't want to do the wrong thing. And so you're like, yeah, just call me whatever you think is right and easiest for you. You don't want to cause trouble. You don't want it to be an issue. You just want to belong. You want to fit in. You want to cause the least amount of friction. And so you just go with whatever is easiest for them. And in the process, we are empowering them to treat us a certain way. We're empowering them not to take the time to get to know us, to get to know our roots, our heritage. And, I'm just in awe of the woman who said, that's strange. That doesn't sound like an Indian name, and asking you for your name and what it means. It just took that extra interest and going away and canceling that badge so you could get the right proper your name on there. That feels like was an angel that was sent. Somebody was specifically sent there at that time to just ensure that your process of settling in was different and it didn't have to go. Can you imagine having a different name and having to retell that story of, oh no, actually my full name is this, but no, you can call me this, and constantly saying that to other people? She certainly saved you a whole lot. And so now connecting it back to your life coaching and supporting women of color, what are some of the issues that you've seen within your community? What are some of the things that you've encountered and you're like, this is such a great opportunity for me to be that space holder for that woman of color who may be facing A, B, C, D? What are some of those struggles or those things that you've witnessed in the community that you would like to hold space for?
It's everything really, Annie. It's it's forgetting who we are actually, because when you come in spaces like this, like you said, it's all about survival, all about fitting in and not rocking the boat. So you try to be a good girl or a good person and try to accept whatever comes your way, so that after some time it really affects your self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. And a lot of people have told me in my life, they say, oh, where do you come from? Actually, where do you come from? So when I tell Auckland, they're like, no, 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 actually, where do you come from? So when I say India, they say, oh, you should be very blessed to be in this country. I'm sure you were not having enough even to eat there. People have said that. And then after a certain time, subconsciously, you've started believing it. You think it's such a huge favor or such a huge blessing even to be in this land, and I should be happy even to breathe here, should not aim for anything higher, should not be in like, for example, should not be any higher spaces, should be very happy at the bottom of the stairs. Just being here is enough. So So I've seen a lot of people like me who are not happy where they are, but somehow made to believe that they should be full of gratitude and happiness, though they don't work in the profession that they were actually in, though they are not up to the mark in whatever areas they are, they should be just happy. So I've seen people who were doctor back home, working as healthcare assistants here, and believed to be like, and they themselves tell me, oh, I'm so happy to be here because my kids are studying and that's what I want. But today, when I look at it, I think, of course, we should be full of gratitude because we've got this opportunity to be in a country, especially me being in New Zealand, lovely people around. I've made wonderful friends in my community and all communities, and also um, I would say white people. So I've made a lot of beautiful friends and who are my ally and always be there for me whenever, even I just have to make a phone call and they'll be here for me. And a lot of indigenous people. Um, of course, we should be blessed, but I think we shouldn't lose our grounding, our roots. So for me now, when I look at it, after a few years, I started feeling whatever was me, represented me. I used to be a speaker back home, in India. Um, I won a lot of awards in schools and yeah, in my school for that. Like I said, I did English literature masters, and here after coming here for years, I got uh, I felt wired that my English is not good. So I hardly used to raise my hand and speak because I'll be like, oh, my English is not good. My English is not good. And I remember starting life coach training. Once I mentioned in one of the coaching calls or to one of the trainers, I said, oh, my English is not good. They said, who said that? And then that made me realize actually that question was one of the best questions. And then I thought, who said? But people said probably once or twice. And I told myself that every day almost. And that's what is happening. So that's what I want in that space. I want women of color to reclaim and actually to redesign their life. And reclaim is huge for me because what we have given, it needs to come back. And that's the only way, we can stand up with being proud of who we are and with confidence, and to have the word feel worthy that as a woman of color, you deserve all spaces that you want to achieve. It is not meant for certain privileged people. No, you get what you want, and that's what I want them to know. That to have that confidence and worthiness, and not thinking, oh, I should be grateful for what I've got. Of course, we should be grateful. I'm grateful every day, but not comparing us to other people and like feeling like, oh, I'm happy at the in the bottom of the stairs. I don't need to climb because that's somebody who sits there.
Mm. Gosh, Sudha, you have hit on so many powerful points there in terms of the self-inflicted limiting beliefs. But I often think that they're not even self-inflicted because they've originated from somewhere. Somebody somewhere has made you feel a certain way, has made you believe certain things about you that are not true. And so the power of having a life coach, somebody who is your guide, somebody who is supporting you to reach the goals that you've set for yourself, your future, and how you don't want to go back to how you've been. You're looking towards your future and you want to create something beautiful. You want to accomplish great things. And I see you so well positioned to do this. One of the barriers that we have in our communities, as people of color, as migrants, is that we don't fully understand what a life coach is. We don't understand the benefits of life coaching. And it's something that we look at from the perspective of, oh, that's for a certain group of people, perhaps for white people. It's for people who are wealthy and have the money to invest in this, because it is often seen as a luxury. It's something that you have as a cherry on top, and it's not seen as this essential service that can actually really help you to reach the goals and the different aspirations that you've set for yourself to be the person you've always wanted to be. There isn't that understanding. And so in your position as a life coach for migrant women of color, how do you communicate that so that you're getting the buy-in and people understanding, oh my goodness, I need Sudha in my life?
Like I said, Annie, my journey from where I was to where I am today took nearly 15 years, 15 to 20 years, I would say, because I didn't have someone role modeling. And a lot of us as women of color, we don't have role models at home or friends. We don't see, like, if you look at my aunties or my grandparents, my mom, I've never seen anybody talk about self-love. And I've not seen anybody put their feet up and say, oh, it's my time.
Yes.
It's never, you're selfish if you do that. You're really, really selfish if you think about you. So life coaching for a lot of people is luxury, because instead of spending on life coaching, they could have spent that on their child's new bag or new shoes.
Mm-hmm.
But then, or contribute towards mortgage payments.
Mm-hmm. Or educated themselves, because education is something that people will go in debt.
Yeah.
As long as they're educated. So education is a big thing in the migrant community, so much.
Education, and for our community, a lot of us, it's wedding. We can go to whatever extent we can to have like a nice wedding for our kids, and always saving for the future. And if you take me back, this is 2024, say 10 years back, and if you would have told me, oh, Sudha, I actually needed a life coach then, Annie. I actually needed, because I knew what I want. I knew something was missing, and it was missing for years. But at that time, I didn't even know what life coach was. And if life coach came into my life, I would have really thought that's luxury. The people who have a lot of money do that. But today, when I'm in this space, I have worked with some beautiful life coaches, and I've got life coach community with me, a lot of nice, lovely friends. Oh, what can I say? Your lens changes.
Yeah.
It totally changes. And today I believe this is not a luxury thing. This is not like getting your hair straightened to look good. This is actually like a shampoo that you need to wash your hair. You know what I mean? This is actually something that you need to keep yourself, uh, to have that clarity, confidence, and compassion. You need this. It's really important to work in this space. These are healing spaces and growing spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, reclaiming and rebuilding spaces that people need to move from where they are to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, once you're here, I think you just get addicted, and you always want to either listen to podcast or
Yes.
work with someone or talk about life coaching. And once you move into these spaces, either on your own or with someone, I truly, truly believe you vibrate in a different energy level. And at that level, you will attract people who are in the same space. So it's like, good, if you are in a positive, vibrant space. And when there's a life coach in your life, uh, they can accelerate they can support you with that from where you want to go, from where you are. And like I said, like a bridge, you do your own work, just like a bridge, we can be there when you need
Yeah.
to go forward. And I still remember one of the colleagues, one of my lovely friend that I was sharing, who is a woman of color. She said, "Oh, what's your new business?" She knew I make candles. So she said, "Is that the candle making?" I said, "No, I'm a life coach." And she goes, "Oh, so do you tell people how to live?" I said, "No, I don't. I don't tell people." She said, "I know how to live. So do you tell people how to live?"
Right.
And she said, "My husband tells me what I have to do. And he's there to tell me how to live." And of course, that was her. I really honor my friend's thought. I'm not there to change someone's thoughts, but um, when somebody is telling you how to live, that's probably not what you want. So life coaching helps you to to get that clarity and the vision, to see what you really desire and what you really want to be, or how you want to live your life. So my kind of tagline at the moment is empowering women of color to live the life they desire. And once you start doing that, oh my gosh, there is so much beauty in within you, and everything surrounding you, and you become such a beautiful giver,
Mm.
because you can't give with an empty cup. You can't give when your energy is low. Like if there's no gas in your car, you can only push the car.
Mhm.
You can't drive, can't go.
Absolutely, 100% agree with what you've said there. And when I think of communities that would benefit so much from having life coaches, I think of our communities. I think of the needs that we have. I think of the the mindset that we have adopted that is not ours, that we have taken on belief systems that do not belong to us, that have made us play such a small roles, staying at the the step that is at the beginning, the bottom step, instead of climbing that ladder. And I can only see how transformational coaching, life coaching in particular, can be to our communities. And so i I am so happy for the work that you're doing. I'm so um filled with so much excitement when I see what you're doing. I looked, you have a most beautiful website. Make sure you go check out Sudha's website. I'll put the link in the show notes for you. It is just so beautifully done. She has this beautiful saris that she puts on. She's got one on right now, and I feel like they're always just so well laundered and ironed and just positioned right. Like I remember the one you wore for the awards was so colorful, so beautiful. And I go on your website, and again, just so beautifully presented that when you land there, there's that feeling of somebody who is just so comfortable in the skin that they are in. You haven't tried to be somebody else. You can truly, truly see you are embracing your heritage and where you come from. And I love that. And to hear that, your daughter, who's a photographer, helped uh, play a role in all of this, and even just putting your website together. I love it so much. And so if you're a woman of color, you're listening to this conversation and you're like, what Sudha is sharing is there areas that I struggle with. And if I had that person who could just guide me to myself to help me find what my true calling is, what my true purpose is, how to live life comfortably in my skin and to go for the things that I really, really want to go for, I highly recommend checking out Sudha. And so I want to end this conversation by asking you one last question. And this is a question that I ask all my guests. And that question is, if fear wasn't a factor, how would you show up in your coaching business?
Mm, I think, give me a couple of seconds. Oh, I would, I think even to be here in this podcast, I had to go through a lot of fear and saying that, oh, do I really have what people want to hear? But like you said, there's a lot of layers, a lot of belief system, and we have to dig deeper and deeper. And there's so much is all the time surfacing, and one layer at a time, clearing it and trusting in ourselves. And fear was not the factor I would show up. Uh, Today, I don't have fear any. I just feel nervous. But if fear was not a factor, say 5 years back, I would have done something like this. At that time, there was a lot of fear. But today, I can't really relate to that much fear because I moved way forward. Today, I feel nervous when I'm doing something like this. But previously, I wouldn't even show up. I will do my best to message you something like maybe yesterday saying, oh, sorry, Annie, something happened. I can't come tomorrow. So I think for other people who are listening to this podcast and still really fearful about coming out, showing who they are, please trust that this world doesn't want you to be like anybody else. There is a reason that you are unique uh, within this community or be in your family. There is a reason. And this world wants you to show up as yourself. And I hope from the bottom of my heart, even if it's not about you working with me as a life coach, but please find that person, that friend, the community. It might be your mother, sister, or anyone, just to be there for you when you're navigating whatever it is important for you towards the goal that you want to reach. Please find that person. And after me doing it for so many years on my own, I really don't recommend that.
Mm.
It's really hard, challenging role. I'm so lucky, not lucky, but I persevered through a lot of things. And yeah, I've seen so many people around me as well who just can't do it. So please find that person, whoever you resonate with.
Find that person. So where can people find out more about you? Somebody's listening, they're like, I need to connect with Sudha. Where can they find you?
Um, like I said, I'm still learning to show up in a lot of spaces, and social media is very new. And my daughter is into marketing and all those areas. So she just supports me with that a little bit, just to tidy things up in my platforms. So I have a Instagram page, Sudha underscore life coach. And I also have my website that you mentioned, Annie. Thank you. It's www.sudhabalaji.com. And yeah, also a Facebook private page that's called Anahata Village. So Anahata is the heart chakra, and I support women to deeply connect with themselves. And I believe that connection happens only when, as women, we learn to move from our head space to our heart and gut space. So somehow we have soaked in a lot of masculine in our life. So yeah, blending this both masculinity and also femininity. So moving from our head space to our heart and gut space. So that's Anahata Village. And yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Sudha, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a beautiful, beautiful conversation to have. So many of the things you shared, I was nodding, resonating with everything you said in terms of your experiences. And what is absolutely amazing is that we can live in different countries. You're in New Zealand, I'm over here in Australia. We're women of color, but still have very, very similar experiences of being excluded. have very, very similar experiences of being othered and treated differently. And so that is something that obviously you're working on, I'm working on. We're all playing a role to bring about this shift. And through my work as a racial equity coach, that is something that I coach a lot of people in the online space. But I also want to take this opportunity to just thank the Beautiful You Coaching Academy for the work that they do. And in particular, the awards, that you can be part of an awards ceremony and see people from different backgrounds being recognized, being valued, being given time. And I didn't realize how much that would mean to me as somebody who was just watching from the sidelines and just seeing, the amazing people who got awards. But there was something when women of color were mentioned. There was something. It was how they gave their thank you speeches. It was how they received it with so much shock, but also with so much gratitude. And for that, Sudha, it was such an honor and a blessing to witness that, and so proud of you. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a huge honor. It's like a huge honor. I'm so grateful for finding Baika and finding you, Annie. Lovely. Thank you.
We are represented. We are represented. We are represented.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a review so this podcast can reach more online business owners, and together we can begin to normalize racial inclusion in the online coaching space. I'd love to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where this podcast episode was recorded, the Wiradjuri people in central New South Wales, Australia. Music produced in Nairobi, Kenya by Patrick St. P. Mbaru and Kambua Mathu. Vocals by Joanne Matata.
Represented.